collection and processing, because the goal of the specimen collector in a bacteriology section must be to maintain the viability of your organism with minimal to no contamination. The microbiology laboratory, they must take responsibility for specimen management in as early as the pre-analytic laboratory process by ensuring that the specimens are appropriately selected, collected, and also transported, because this will be the basis of all the succeeding procedures eventually. Basic principles of specimen collection. First, if possible, you collect your organism during the acute phase of infection and before the patient has been given antibiotics. You select also the correct anatomic site. You use proper techniques and supplies so as there would be minimal contamination of normal biota. Quantity must also be sufficient, and if you're going to package your specimen inside a container or transport media, it should be designed as leak-proof. Labels must be complete and accurate with the specific anatomic site and also complete patient information. It would include the patient's name, their unique identification number, as well as the date and time of collection. Transport also your specimen to the laboratory promptly or make provisions to store your specimen in an environment that will not degrade your suspected organism. And then, if you think that the pathogen here is very unusual in the specimen, or it can be an agent of bioterrorism, notify the laboratory in advance. Collection procedures. Your specimen for microbiology cultures, they should be collected in sterile containers except for stool specimen. Stool specimen, they can be collected sa clean, leak-proof container. Generally, yung swabs din, they are not recommended for collection because they do not provide sufficient quantity. They are also easily contaminated and mabilis din silang mag-guide out. So, ultimately, it would lead to a loss of organisms. But for appropriate specimens, ito po yung ina-advise if it is for upper respiratory tract, external ear, eye, and genital tract, pwede rin naman yung swabs, And also, yung swabs, they are made of different material. Yung tip ng swab, they can be a cotton, dacron, rayon, or calcium alginate. Of those, yung cotton tip swabs, they tend to have excessive fatty acids. FA na lang, for short. Cotton tip swabs, they tend to have excessive fatty acids that can be toxic to certain bacteria. For dacron or rayon naman, they have a wide range of uses, and usually merong swab collection system na pinoprovide na also for transport media to furtherly protect the specimen from drying. For lesions, wounds, abscess, yung area na to, they should be cleansed first so that we could eliminate as much of the commensal flora as possible. Moving forward to the specimen that can be collected by the patient. First, we have urine, of which the specimen of choice is a clean catch midstream urine specimen. So if you're going to give out instructions, it should also include an explanation as to what a clean catch midstream urine means. So instruct them that they wash the external genitalia first so as they can remove the presence of indigenous flora. So remove or reduce the presence of indigenous flora And then, once they urinate or once they void, yung first portion of the urine flow, usually, yun yung pang-wash ng contaminants from the urethra. So, that is discarded. Afterwards, the middle portion, it is more representative of the urine in the bladder. So, yun yung kinokolect. And then, that is also more concentrated. In the event naman that a personnel will collect a urine sample from a catheter or catheterized sample, this technique should also be used so as we can eliminate organisms being carried up the urethra during catheterization. Next is sputum. Sputum is usually collected to detect the bacterial pneumonia. And the preferred sample is a first early morning specimen. So the patient will rinse their mouth first. Pag meron silang dentures, no, tanggalin muna. Then afterwards, expectorate with the aid of a deep cuff directly doon sa kanilang sterile container. But then again, this lower respiratory tract specimen, isa to sa pinakamahirap i-collect because usually they are contaminated with oropharyngeal flora. So, usually, ang ginagawa pag nahihirapan mag-expectorate ng sputum, you can ask for the aid of a respiratory therapy technician. They may assist their patients or your patients who are unable to expectorate a respiratory specimen. What they will do is that they will utilize aerosol induction, wherein the patient will breathe in aerosolized droplets of a solution. That solution will stimulate a cough reflex or yung tinatawag na induced sputum. And if that's the case, no, you also inform the laboratory whether the sputum is produced via expectoration or it is expectorated or if it is induced. For the detection of bacterial lower respiratory tract infection, you will have just a single specimen. But if it is for fungal or mycobacterial infection, usually, ang hinihingi ay 3 separate early morning specimens. So, 3 consecutive days. Now, for gastrointestinal pathogens, the specimen of choice for the detection of that is stool. The patients, they are instructed to defecate directly sa kanilang collection device. Hindi pwedeng galing sa toilet and it should not be contaminated with urine. Now, if a single specimen has yielded a negative result, it is not usually sufficient to exclude any bacteria or parasite. For rectal swab, this can be submitted for bacterial culture as long as fecal matter is visible on the swab. For bacterial infection naman, 3 specimens should be collected, 1 per day, for 3 days. Labeling and requisitions, it should consist completely of the following: name, identification number, their room number if they are admitted, the physician who requested the testing, the culture site or where you got the specimen, date and time of collection. Now for specimen storage, for the urine, stool, sputum, bronchial secretions, and also swabs, but not for anaerobes. Foreign devices such as catheters and viral specimen, you can maintain them at refrigerator temperature of 4 degrees Celsius for up to 24 hours. Pag fecal specimen naman, they are submitted in preservatives, pwede nating i-maintain sa room temperature. For CSF, if it is not processed immediately, you can store it sa 35 degrees Celsius incubator for as long as 6 hours. And specimens that you collected, take note that you should be able to transport that to the laboratory, ideally within as early as 30 minutes from collection, but not exceeding 2 hours. For preservatives, first we have boric acid. We can use this to maintain accurate colony counts from urine specimen. For stool specimen naman, if you're going to do bacterial culture and you're not able to transport it immediately sa laboratory, pwede po nating i-refrigerate. But if the delay is longer than 2 hours, you subject it or add it to a Kerry-Blair transport media. And if your stool sample is for Clostridium difficile, or difficile toxin assay, it should be collected without a preservative, but it can be refrigerated. If the delay naman is expected to be longer than 48 hours, your specimen, it should now be frozen at negative 70 degrees Celsius. And you can also use preservatives such as formalin if yung stool naman is for ova and parasite or ONP, but not for bacteria. Yung preservative na formalin, no, if you're going to use that for ONP, maganda yan to maintain the morphology of trophozoites and cysts. Anticoagulants are also used to prevent clotting of your specimen. It would include samples from blood, or including blood, bone marrow, and synovial fluid. We also have the sodium polyanethol sulfonate, which is the most common anticoagulant. But take note, very important yung concentration. It must not exceed this, 0.025%, because some Neisseria species and certain anaerobes, they are inhibited by higher concentrations of your SPS. So, importante yung ratio ng specimen to SPS. And there are also available na sizes niya, na different sizes of tubes. That is to accommodate an adult sample or if it is coming from a pediatric blood collection. Others would include heparin for viral cultures and your Mycobacteria species. Citrate and EDTA naman, take note, this should not be used. Holding or transport media, yung mga media na to, they usually contain substances that do not promote multiplication ng microorganism, but they still ensure their preservation and they are available in swab collection systems. The most commonly used one is your Stewart or Amy transport media. Usually, naglalagay ng charcoal. Charcoal will be used to absorb the fatty acid present in your specimen because that could kill certain fastidious or fragile organisms such as your Neisseria gonorrhea and Bordetella pertussis. Next, we have this 4-level scheme of prioritization. This can be used on the critical nature of the specimen or potential for specimen degradation. For level 1, these are usually the specimen that require immediate processing. The specimen here are classified as critical because they represent a potentially life-threatening illness and they are from an invasive source. For level 2 naman, they are usually the unprotected ones or yung unpreserved, so they may quickly degrade or pwede silang magkaroon ng overgrowth of contaminating flora. That is why the microbiology technologists, they must quickly provide an optimal growth environment for the fastidious organisms found in the samples. For level 3 specimen, quantitation is required, and if there would be a delay in the level 3 specimen, magkakaroon ng adverse effect sa accuracy ng quantitation. Kaya kung magkakaroon ng delay sa processing even with level 2 and level 3 samples, there should be appropriate storage or preservation that must be initiated. For example, kung hindi mapoprocess agad yung urine or sputum sample, pwede din namang i-refrigerate muna. That is why very convenient to have a refrigerator inside the bacteriology section because merong times talaga, no, especially in the peak workload times na hindi nakakapag-process agad. So, kung may ref dun sa malapit, pwedeng ipasok na lang muna yung sample. And then last level would be the level 4, specimen. These are specimen that arrive in the laboratory na nakapreserve na. They are usually in a holding or transport media. Next are the criteria for rejection. So, of course, pag merong hindi match dun sa specimen sample, container, and the label, if your patient's name and the source does not match, repeat specimen collection. Next, there is no patient identification on the specimen container. The specimen is not submitted in the appropriate transport container or the container is leaking. Reject pa din. The quantity of your specimen is inadequate. Transport time more than 2 hours na and your specimen hindi naman na-preserve. Reject. You have received your sample in a fixative such as formalin. Pag bacteriology section, reject. But pwede pa rin po yung gamitin for parasitology. Specimen has already dried up. Reject pa din, no? And one swab was submitted from the same source, from the same patient, and on the same day. Reject pa din. But exception natin dyan would be your blood cultures. Kasi pwedeng multiple sites ang blood culture. Next would be criteria for acceptance of sputum. If your gram stain of expectorated sputum would reveal fewer, so less than 25 WBCs, and more than 10 epithelial cells, more likely, no, saliva lang po yan. So, reject. Now, after specimen collection, next would be specimen processing, of which you would start in a macroscopic observation. So, processing your patient specimen, nagsisimula yan sa macroscopic observation. You will check the gross appearance of the specimen because that can provide you useful information, not just for the microbiologist, but also for the physician. What are those being seen, no? You check the appearance of the swab, the aspirate, the stool consistency, if it is formed, liquid, may presence ba ng mucus, meron bang blood, what is the volume of your specimen, and the turbidity. Is it clear, cloudy, or turbid? What are the major purposes for a microscopic observation? First, it can be used to determine the quality of your specimen. Sample for sputum. Yung sputum specimen that represents saliva, rather than the lower respiratory tract secretion, they can be determined by the quantitation ng WBC or epithelial cell. So, pwede mong ma-differentiate kung saliva ba talaga yan or sputum ba talaga yan. We will just take note of the number of WBCs and the epithelial cells. Second, it can also give the microbiology technologist and the physician an indication of the infectious process involved. Example, if you're going to do a gram stain of a sputum specimen, you saw WBCs and also you saw gram-positive diplococci. Then again, ang gram stain natin, it will not directly identify yet what your organism is, but it can give you an idea of what it can possibly be. So, yung gram-positive diplococci, merong WBC, tapos sputum pa yung sample mo, it may be indicative of an infection caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae. Third, the routine culture workup can be guided by the results of your smear. So, yung medical technologist or the lab scientist, no, medical lab scientist, they can correlate yung bacterial isolates with the types detected on their smear. From there, that can alert the technologist to the presence of additional organisms that are not yet growing on their culture media. Example, yung anaerobes. And fourth, it can indicate the need for non-routine or additional testing. Baka hindi talaga to para sa bacteriology section. So under the microscope, makakita ka ng presence of many fungal elements in a specimen that was submitted for a bacterial culture. So from there, it would alert the technologist to notify the physician, baka kailangan nating mag-request ng workup for a fungal infection. So request for a fungal culture. Next, we have primary inoculation. The types of culture media that you're going to be exposed to are either a non-selective media. From the name itself, kaya non-selective, pwedeng tumubo dyan kahit ano. Most non-fastidious microbes grow here. The standard non-selective media is your sheep blood agar. Next is the selective media. So, kaya selective because it will only promote the growth of one while inhibiting other. From the term inhibiting, no, kaya yan selective, that is why it's just able to grow one kasi merong presence ng inhibitors. The inhibitory substances can be dyes, antimicrobial, or even alcohol. Example of your selective media, we have your MAC1Key agar. The MAC1Key agar is able to grow enteric gram-negative bacilli. Enteric gram-negative bacilli. And we also have your CNA or the Columbia agar. Columbia agar with colistin and nalidixic acid. Columbia agar with colistin and nalidixic acid. For this, it's selective for gram-positive organism. We also have differential media wherein you can be able to differentiate bacteria based on the characteristics of their growth demonstrated on top of the media. As for the enriched media naman, this one is plated. Enriched media kasi may enhancers that are added to non-selective agar to allow fastidious organisms to flourish. An example of this is your chocolate agar. Pag enrichment broth naman, no, in a liquid form lang siya, but it also has enhancers that will encourage the growth of small numbers ng particular organism while suppressing other flora that are present. Example would be the limb broth or Todd Hewitt. Todd Hewitt with CNA. This is used to enhance the growth of group B streptococci. As for a broth media, this can be used as a supplement to agar plates to detect small numbers of most aerobes, anaerobes, and microaerophiles. Example of your broth media is your thioglycolate broth. Or thio. Now, most of your specimen, they arrive in the laboratory in one of three forms. Sa swab, tissue, or fluid. For sterile body fluids such as pus, urine, sputum, pag na-receive mo yan, inoculate mo directly on your selected media. If you will be receiving large volumes naman ng sterile body fluid, since large yung volume, they tend to become very diluted. So, you concentrate them first to increase the recovery of the bacteria. If the volume of fluid is greater than 1 ml naman, you can centrifuge it first, get the sediment, and then yun yung gagamitin mo for the succeeding steps. And if you're going to receive swabs na dalawa, no, One will be used for culture media. So, yung isang swab, diretso culture media, tapon na yon. Because you have a second one, the second swab that contains the same specimen or sample, you will use that to make your direct smear. Now, there are different isolation or inoculating techniques. We will dwell on this more on midterms, but just to give a brief introduction of isolation techniques, when you receive the specimen and pwede na siyang ilagay directly on your culture media, usually sinaswab natin siya into 4 quadrants. So first, in this area, so we will swab in this direction, and then afterwards, kapag tapos na yung half, you will rotate to go to a different area. Lift nyo po yung inyong inoculating loop or your swab if coming directly from the swab sample, and then proceed in making another streak here. Then afterwards, rotate again in the third quadrant, streak overlapping dun sa last line of the second quadrant, rotate. And then on the fourth quadrant, streak ulit tayo. Make sure that there are also areas na nag-overlap from the third quadrant. So again, we will dwell on this more. Come midterms, you will do this individually. But the general purpose of isolation streaking is usually for you to know the extent of the growth of your organisms coming from the initial one up to the last one. So you will be able to grade them properly from a light to heavy growth. And then afterwards, when you will be able to grade them properly from a light to heavy growth. And then afterwards, when you streak them on top of your culture media, hindi yan magically tutubo agad. It will take time for them to grow and different environments for them to grow even better. So for incubation, this happens after you have inoculated, after you have isolated your organism. So most bacteria, so example, nag-streak na kayo on top of your culture media, tatabi na po yan sa incubator. Because most bacteria, they are growing in this temperature, which is 35 degrees Celsius to 37 degrees Celsius. If they are aerobes, they grow in ambient air. Pag anaerobes, they cannot grow in the presence of oxygen, kaya kailangan nila ng anaerobic atmosphere. For capnophiles naman, they require increased concentration of carbon dioxide. So you can do this by induction of this environment, usually by utilizing a candle jar or carbon dioxide incubator. Meron din iba, carbon dioxide jar or bag. If that is a microaerophile naman, they will grow with reduced oxygen and increased carbon dioxide. And most routine bacterial cultures, they are held for 48 to 72 hours. Anaerobes naman in broth cultures, usually pwede yan 5 to 7 days.